hear me? Kindly indicate so.
Can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Once again, welcome to another session. Oh, and we all know who's taking this session today is the Eid himself. So, well, I'm your moderator for today's session, Lillian Efubi, and as the norm, whilst you come in, if you're here to do so, kindly put your name and where you're joining in from in the chat box, and also go on the Telegram group to tell your fellow participants or classmates to come join the session. And I think Edie has mentioned this already. If you know anybody that would love to be a part of this session, close ones, you can send them the Zoom link. Don't post it on social media because it's a crucial topic that I think everyone should be privileged to listen to. So we'll give 5 more minutes for other participants to join in. Thank you. Okay, once again, good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's session on the effects of external actors on Nigeria's election 821. And the facilitator for today's session is no other person than the ED himself. He has promised to give results to today's session. And I think your court is actually very lucky because this is the first time the college is taking this session. And so it's a plus for you. And I hope you utilize the knowledge and everything you'll be getting from this session because aside from, we know that 2023 election is just by the corner, and aside from the internal factors that are happening currently in the country, external factors play a huge role. Recently, we saw one of the presidential candidates actually visiting a country to learn their model of development. And we saw a US Secretary of State visiting another presidential candidate. I'm very sure some certain things would have been discussed in those meetings, which would make or mar the election for next year. And so ED will be exposing a lot of things for us today. So I'll pass the floor to ED. ED, you have the floor, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here. I look forward to a great class. I'm also hoping that this class, of course, will be something that will be instrumental to your thought processes on the way things are being managed in the country. Now, of course, the 8 cohorts, I would say this is the first time, so I'm nervous. I'm taking this course this first time. But we'll try to see what we can do about it. So today's course, of course, the effect of external actors on Nigerian elections. Lillian, thank you very much for everything. Lillian, we could have the first slide, please. So first, I'd like to first start with this. A basic introduction to what international politics is. You see, you might not understand the way politics is generally till you understand international politics. You can't understand the effect of external actors on this. Lisa is saying that I'm not so audible. Can everybody hear me clearly? Just indicate in the chat box. Saying there's an echo. Okay, I think the echo is because I'm using 2 separate devices, so I'll shut one down. And I hope that this echo has stopped. Okay, NEPA has done their thing, but they should be able to pull this off now. Okay, so we need to understand the way international politics runs. Now, let's look at countries like companies. That's the simplest way to look at them. Every company, of course, is thinking about its own survival, its own sustainability, its own progress. But while it's doing that, it makes it look like it's in support of humanity at the same time, trying to get a clear picture that the human race is trying to move forward, and it's of course in tandem with the human race. Through international politics, it's about the multitude of actors that shape our world, such as states, formal, informal, and informal international organizations like the UN, everybody, that's the United Nations, the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, the G20, who are of course the top 20 big boys who are part of the UN, and non-governmental organizations like the Amnesty International, non-state actors. Of course, you have to add terrorists into this matter. Multinational corporations also play a very huge part in international politics. I'll take you to the beginning of the concept of Nigeria. So most of what you know about Nigeria, most people will track up to Lord Lugard. Lord Lugard was just the first Governor General of Nigeria. And being the first Governor General of Nigeria, Nigeria actually existed about, or was functional as a unit, as now Northern and Southern Protectorate for as far back as the 1900s. It was in the unison of this protectorate, the Northern and Southern Protectorate, that Lord Lugard became the first Governor General of what we now know today as the Nigerian colony. But going back to the beginning, the country that the company that actually came together to find or to piece up or discover, according to them, discover Nigeria. It's not like we didn't exist, but they discovered us. Was the Niger Company. And the Niger Company sold the land of Nigeria to the British government, who apparently, as we are beginning to find out, wasn't spreading democracy or doing anything. It was a business deal. I think Nigeria was sold at the time for about £850,000. That was quite a lot of money at the time. And looking at the whole big picture now, you don't blame them. Of course, they were looking for a lot of things. And so, surprisingly, I'm sure a lot of people want to ask the question, does the Niger Company still exist? Yes, they do. And they're still in Nigeria. Yes, they are. Well, anybody want to take a wild guess to what that company's name right now is? You can just type in the chat box. Anybody want to guess what that company's name is now? Any guesses? Ha 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 ha. Ijoma, Unilever. You have been reading some very dangerous books, but that is Unilever is the Niger company. Shell, no, not Shell. Unilever is the company. So of course, we'll go to Africa first to understand where we were. So there's international politics. Of course, there's continental politics. Then there's regional politics, which of course Nigeria is part of ECOWAS. And then there's internal politics, which is in Nigeria. But to understand the basis of why these actors act this way and how they handle their things, we need to look into the beginning. So Africa is really blessed, having about 30% of the world's entire natural resources. And it's no small reason why the continent's resources matter, because if you check out other continents' resources, Africa has about 30%, which I think is the largest. This map here shows you what exactly Africa looks like, and you have South Africa, of course, with the massive input. Then you have Nigeria, Algeria, Angola, Libya, Egypt, Ghana, DRC, which is the Democratic Republic of Congo, Gabon, and Zimbabwe. So now that we've come up with why Africa is important, note that this map does not include the diamond deposits in Africa, which means if that were included, the amount in dollars, or billions of dollars, will be crazy. Africa is fully important to world politics. It's not only important to world politics, it's important to the survival of the world. Its basic resource, human resource, cannot be undermined massively. Great human resource, highly intelligent, ready to work, do not argue, are ready to deal with matters. There's no how we can discuss this whole effect of external actors without understanding the economics. The economics drive the politics. Now I'll explain why. Nobody would get engaged in a war if that war didn't cost money. Okay, bring money, sorry. I'll give you an example. I'm sure everybody can remember of recent memory, the issues in Rwanda and how long it took the international community to get in. They refused to get in because Rwanda had nothing. And it wasn't a war where they were going to get something from it. Trust me, nobody's going to go and fight or protect or peacekeep somewhere that has nothing to offer. Armies cost money. You need to understand that. Lillian, let me have the next slide, please. Okay, so Nigeria now in focus. We already know Nigeria is in West Africa, a non-aligned nation. Us being non-aligned means we do not party or pay allegiance to the Eastern or Western bloc. Now, people want to ask the Eastern and Western Bloc. Of course, the Western Bloc will, of course, refer to that's the Eastern Bloc will refer. Who is drawing lines on? Lillian, just leave the PowerPoint as is. So the Eastern Bloc will, of course, refer to China, Russia, and the Western Bloc, of course, which is called the traditional West, normally the British homeboys, Britain, France, Germany, US, Australia. In 1963, when Nigeria became a republic, Tafawa Balewa, Prime Minister then of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, stated clearly that Nigeria was a non-aligned nation, meaning our foreign policy would not be aligned to any of these blocs' particular interests in world domination. Nigeria will focus on its own preservation, not be interested in dominating any other part, but fully function as a country that will protect its own interests and direction. Nigeria is also the most populous Black nation. Recent statistics puts us at 218.3 million Nigerians, with approximately 1.7 million Nigerians living in diaspora. Apart from petroleum, Nigeria's other natural resources include, of course, natural gas, tin, iron ore, coal, limestone, niobium, lead, zinc, and arable land. Now, the arable land doesn't seem like a natural resource, but when you look at massively what our land is potentially able to achieve, this is not a country that should suffer from poor housing. The untouched land in Nigeria is almost, I think, a little bit over about close to 2/3 of Nigeria's land mass, totally untouched. We have the potential to develop, we have the potential to farm, we have the potential to outmaneuver a lot of things. Have we done so? No, we haven't. Have we been able to pull this? No, we haven't. We also have industrial metals, which are very key to world listening. Very precious stones, barriers, gypsum, kaolin, and marble. You all have mobile phones. These are basic components of your mobile phones. Most of these minerals are even yet to be exploited in Nigeria. Nigeria's greatest, of course, resource is human resource, projected to 1.3 million. And the diaspora population at 1.7 remitted $65.34 billion in 3 years to boost the economic activities in the country. Data obtained from, of course, World Bank. No wonder we're most concerned. If our greatest resource right now, which surpasses crude oil, is the Nigerians in diaspora, why then are they not allowed to vote? But that is another question for another parameter. Next slide, please. Now, the League of External Actors. These are who we would call the usual suspects. We would like to start with the United Kingdom. Of course, Nigeria, being a former colony of the United Kingdom, is part of the Commonwealth. And the Commonwealth, I think is a very funny name, considering United Kingdom took wealth from everybody they colonized, and they decided to name the group Commonwealth, and we all jumped and became a part of it. I think that's the biggest joke. But anyway, Nigeria is part of the Commonwealth. The British, of course, have a lot of stakes in Nigeria, be it business, be it a push for democracy, be it aid. Its aid normally comes through something known as the DFID, the United States of America, police to the world nickname. The United States of America, of course, is interested in how the world runs, everybody's politics. Let's critically remember this point, that because Nigeria is the most populous Black nation, and I was supposed to have said it earlier, it just came back to the top of my head, that because Nigeria is the most populous Black nation, it directly means that if Nigeria fails, the entire Black race has failed. No matter if a president of France is Black, or a president of Russia is Black, or a president of America is Black, and a president of Australia is Black at the same time. Nigeria is the decisive factor in where the Negro race is right now. But let's continue with the United States of America. Of course, has interventions, US aid. They're very key in the United Nations. The US, of course, has interventions in democracy, health. A lot of its billionaires also give money to things like malaria. The Bill Gates and Melinda Foundation do a lot in Nigeria. We're very, very instrumental in polio eradication in Nigeria. A lot of stuff, United States of America. Let's remember that UK and the US all preach a democratic government. Water aid as well, yeah. A few multiple interventions. So of course, the UK and the US are of course preaching the gospel of democracy, in quotes. As we go further down the line, we understand how these external actors act. France. Now, nobody calls these guys because everybody wonders, we're not a French-speaking country. Yes, we aren't, but we're surrounded by French countries. Cameroon, Niger, former French colonies. Cameroon, Niger, Senegal does not border Nigeria, Latasha. Chad. And this issue, Christian, we're beaming the class to YouTube. So even if it's not recorded on Zoom, it's being beamed to YouTube. Benin Republic and hello, Kahin. Sorry, phone call came. I don't know whether this stopped the transmission. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. A phone call came in, so I was thinking obstructed line. So anyway, France, of course, bordered a lot of France and its colonies, and we all know how France and its deep colonies interact, and how anybody in its colony can go to France or is considered a citizen of France, and hence and forth, back and forth. We'll still talk about this in front, but I need you to pay a key attention to what we're discussing. Now, on a religious front, the Arab League, truly, of course, OIC, are very interested in Nigeria. Muslim population, amount of funds given for the propagation of Islam, and a lot of other things. Iran, Shiite population. Nigeria has quite a large Shiite population. And this is responsible for a few actions by Iran in Nigeria. If you can remember clearly, one of the clerics in Zaria, from my hometown, unfortunately, has quite close ties to Iran. Next will be China. China sees itself in the next probably 20 to 30. Thank you very much, Faith. I just didn't want to call this name because the class is recorded. So China, of course, has its own interests. China looks at itself as probably the future of the world, the next police of the country. They have the population, they have the technology, they have the debating power. They've turned Africa into their mini or probably set of minions. China knows what it's doing. China is trying to dominate and developing new colonialism in a way nobody else has practiced. China, of course, remains a world power, but let's keep this league of external actors, and as we go along, find out how they interact and interface with Nigeria entirely. I'm sure a lot of you are wondering why all this, but to tell the story in front, we need to understand how everything actually works. So next slide, please. Thank you. Now, Nigeria, since independence, has been very instrumental within the Committee of Nations on different parameters. Nigeria, of course, is a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. It's the push for Nigeria to become a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, is ongoing. We need to understand something critical. Nigeria was very instrumental to the end of apartheid. We were helping with education. I was born and raised in a town called Zaria, and I lived within the university quarters. And there were so many South Africans who were given free education by Nigeria. Some of them became teachers in secondary schools, just to make some extra buck, and became lesson teachers. No, I didn't live in Area A, Faith. I lived in Area F. Or I still live in Area F. My mother lives there. So we looking at what we put into apartheid, sponsoring them, putting a lot of money to the ANC, helping provide a front, and arguing this matter in the Committee of Nations as on the table of the United Nations. Nigeria was probably the strongest ally South Africa had in Africa against apartheid. These stories are not told. Nigeria does not pride itself by documenting its interventions all across the world. You cannot undermine Nigeria's instrumental use in the AU and, of course, control in ECOWAS. Nigeria has done a lot for the sub-region. Nigeria was very instrumental with partnerships with Muammar Gaddafi, which the West saw as bad. But its partnership was to bring Africa under one currency, not dictated by the London Stock Exchange or the New York Stock Exchange, but Africa's own stock exchange. This parameter is what cost Gaddafi his life, and maybe what broke down peace in the region. Because since then, based on the strife you have in Libya and other North African countries, we've seen it flow into Nigeria. And if everybody says they just got into Nigeria, because they felt like, no, we invited them here. Our political disputes, our political disagreements, we brought in rebels, as they are called, who are highly trained to help fight some warring parts. Now, this looks like, it's just the Northerners that did it. Nah, that's not true. Communal clashes in spots like Ife and Modakeke, in places like between the Juku and the Tiv in Benue, in Adamawa, in Borno, in Sokoto. We brought in people to help push our parameters. And when they found out how lawless our country was, a lot of them refused to go. But anyway, Nigerians in diaspora also amount for the country with the most people in government of other countries. We have people in the legislature of Poland. We have more Nigerian women in the British Parliament than we have in the Nigerian National Assembly. I don't need to tell you the number in America, and so on and so forth. Nigerians in diaspora are record breakers, not only in politics, in business, and other fields or endeavors of human life. Nigerian is probably, I would say, the world's most important resource. But the same Nigerian undermines what the country is based on our responsibilities to the country and to the flag. The average Nigerian is more of, how would I put it? More of, like now, a Nigerian will averagely tell you, I am Tiv, I'm Fulani, I'm Hausa, I am Yoruba, I'm Efik, I'm Igbo, I'm Oron, the list is endless. Before he says he's Nigerian. Well, I'm part of the WhatsApp group that says I'm Nigerian first, and that's what matters. Nothing else does. And if we start to build that and build a love for country, we might be able to see things as they are. But that's another conversation. Next slide, Vivian. Now the issues. Neocolonization. I'll first start with this. If you think we don't do exactly what the Western world wants us to do, or what some influencing powers want us to do, then it means that you do not understand international politics, or you think things are just as they are. Their interventions in so-called democracy gives them access not only to our entire framework of how we run things, but it gives them critical access to exactly who are the next power wielders, who are the next people who are going to take control of the country, what their thoughts are, where it is headed, and how we could partner. China gave a building at the African Union for its headquarters. It did it for free. 3 years later, Africa found out how China was winning contracts all over the world, all over the continent. The building was bugged. That's how far international politics go. Every race looks at itself, apart from Africans, like a company, and they drive themselves by profit. Africa has obviously not reached this position, doesn't think in this manner, and Nigeria is far from that. Yeah, a Greek gift, cadre, more like a Trojan horse. So we'll go to the drive for democracy. Democracy was brought into Africa by, of course, the US, after learning it from Britain, who apparently learned it from Rome, who apparently learned it from Greece. Wild circle, right? And what is not put on paper is that Africa was actually democratic already. We believed in, I'd love to use the Igbos for this because they seem to get the Republican system so well. So the Igbos believed they didn't have kings exactly. They were just like people that just sat down, but the king wasn't as you had a king in the feudal north or in the west, which was fully monarchical. You had someone who sat down like a head or a chief, or just like a supervisory head. In this end, we'll call him like the Senate president. It's not like he's different from anybody. And these families had conversations on where villages went forward and what they didn't do and what they did. It was kind of like a parliament. The North was more feudal. Of course, the North, based on the amount of land and jurisdiction, they ruled. And they were an elite class who kept power within the circle. I'm not saying it's still happening today, but it's close to. The West, very strong monarchical ties. Based on monarchy, that's king, like you had in Britain. So we already were capable of almost a democracy. Still begs to wonder what they really taught us. But I would save that part for this part. So women in politics. I'm sure everybody watching this is conversant with the 1923 Aba women's riot. We're talking of something that in 4 days without emails or whatever had spread to Eket. If you know the distance then without cars, you will understand what exactly we are talking about. I might get these figures wrong, but I know they are close. So in 1924, I think was the first time women in the US started voting. I think in 1918 was when women in Britain started voting. There's a reason for this concept. We move forward. About women's riot. We also remember Funmilayo Ransome Kuti's issues as during, of course, strikes in Ibadan and a lot of issues. But nobody understood what exactly happened. Women have always been powerful in Africa. Have Queen Aminas of Zaria, did so much. The closest person to the Oni of Ife, I think, is a woman, and she's like his prime minister. We've always had women in politics, but doing a lot of things within royal power. We've had female obas across, we still have. A lot of things have been going on. Women have ruled north, left, south. But back to Funmilayo Ransome Kuti and the Aba Women's Riot of 23. somewhere in the immediately after that, during then, they found out that when the women came out, men that were usually docile became monsters. So men didn't really care till women came out with something. That's the way Nigeria ran, regardless of where it was. Now, please, can you mute your mic? Who is that? Thank you. So we always had this female participation, but it triggered a stronger male participation when they came out. The British was losing control of a colony. They introduced the Richard's Constitution, which meant you needed a particular amount of money to participate in politics, and also a particular amount of money to vote. Ever asked who exactly disenfranchised women in Africa? The same people that are telling you women in Africa should have rights and votes, and political power. It's a very funny story. This story is not told publicly. But for the need of their control, I'm sure any other country would have done the same thing. Well, that's a story for another class, challenges of women or whatever. Now, the 2015 perspective in our story. As much as we look at elections in Nigeria, 2015 was a critical election. You had a vice president of whom the president died, who is not of the status quo, becoming president. I would say a lot of corruption happened, but it wasn't anything that hasn't gone on before, preceding, during, or after. The media was hijacked and played into something else. The president then, in trying to create his own new set of parameters, because everybody tries to consolidate power. So he and his guys, of course, they try to do things differently, try to give themselves a little different position. So guess what? Somewhere along the line, America stopped being the highest, the people we sold oil to the highest. Well, Nigerians weren't paying attention. All of a sudden, it looked like Michelle Obama loves Nigeria. And during the Bring Back Our Girls campaign, she raised up the what they call it, the placard for it. You think that this didn't do much. When Michelle Obama did this, the rage of Nigerians in diaspora against the sitting president was astronomical. Everything went out. Who would have thought it was just an oil deal? A lot of things have happened in Nigeria after that. Kankara or whatever, I've never seen a US person react. There's always more to politics than we see it. Let's also remember that the what they call it, the good luck campaign kind of, or the good luck, no, let's say the APC campaign kind of, was in bed one kind through some very, very long measures with the Obama campaign. And it goes to say, well, we know how the story ended. Sometimes for balance, countries do a lot of things which we consider highly dangerous. But it's not because it is dangerous. It is because for their own subsistence and survival, some things must go a particular way. Until it goes that way, they will go to the end of the world. Everybody remembers what Enron was ready to do in Africa. But what the hell? Margaret Thatcher's son was even involved in political scams and a lot of things in Africa, interfering with direct politics of countries and presidents. Enron's list is endless. And if you think Nigeria is that away from everything, I'm sure everybody remembers the Malibu affair. No offense to the PDP presidential candidate. But a lot of heads rolled for that in America. And it's still one of the reasons why he doesn't have free access, except he's guarded by the body of being a presidential candidate, or is by the immunity of a president, which will be protected by the sovereignty of Nigeria. This person cannot be harmed when he goes to America. Now, the Nigerian oligarchs and their interface with the West has, of course, ensured a whole lot of problems. Nigeria has massive minerals, and none has ever been exploited or has been used by the country to the fullest. So I'll take you on a little journey. Who remembers the Ajaokuta steel mill, if anybody's from Kogi State? Passed from Nigeria has enough steel to shut down any other country in the world. When it eventually got to producing capacity, Nigeria was only allowed to produce steel rods. And then it all failed up immediately. It's been Russia, India, China. A lot of people have been part of it. I'd ask you one critical question, and this is just for you to just think about. So Nigeria gives a contract to China to do railroads. Nigeria gives China concession, along, yeah, digging. I didn't say this one. But some people carry sand. It wasn't the Obasanjo government that ran the Ajaokuta steel aground, had been run aground by multiple governments. So let's look at it this way. We've given a railroad contract, and all of a sudden, Nigeria's, and this is preceding even the railroad contract because they had other construction contracts in Nigeria. All of a sudden, China is selling Nigeria tiles that can only be made from sand that probably came from here. But that's another story. But Nigerian oligarchs, of course, have always interfaced with multinational companies and also interfaced with multinational governments and networks across different things. It's no shame that Nigeria's gold, which is found in Zamfara, massive amounts, that is not yet mined by Nigeria, is sold in Dubai of the highest quality. Should I now ask the question here? Why the banditry in Zamfara? But I think the next map actually speaks to what I'm about, what maybe I don't want to flog here. Let's remember that the Nigerian oligarchs go with the best of the world. It puts them in tandem with world politics and domination in exchange for riches. Foreign interest. Foreign interest always shifts, dependent on parameter, presidents, and character of the nation at the time. And those interests could get us in line because we are not non-aligned, of course. Like, look at the war in Ukraine, directly affecting the price of oil all over Nigeria. Just imagine if Nigeria had 5 working refineries and we were producing petrol. Do you know how much Nigeria will be making right now? But Nigeria is such an important, smart country that it decides that no refinery should work. Then it sells crude oil, markets it, sells it, and then it's refined in petroleum companies owned by the oligarchs outside Nigeria, and then sold back to us. How brilliant. Who approved the contract that Nigeria's oil should be refined abroad? You know how many jobs from Brazil to those in South Africa to refineries somewhere in Asia? Who allowed those refineries? And how did the oligarchs get these deals? But that's another question for another time, not in an espionage class. Now the Abacha Abiola conundrum. Very interesting thing. What I'm about to ask you might surprise you a little bit. So I'm going to ask a question. Abacha and Abiola, who died first? And you can unmute your mics. Please, Lillian, I want the class to get a little bit interactive. Unmute everybody so that everybody could unmute their mics. Nobody should Google this, please. Nobody should, please. Abacha and Abiola, who died first?
Abacha.
Abacha.
Abacha did.
Abacha died first.
Abacha.
Abacha.
Abacha died first.
Everybody, calm down.
Abiola.
Abacha died first.
Okay, calm down.
Only Abacha died first.
Okay, thank you.
Calm down.
Abacha died first.
Yes, I've heard.
Before Abacha, but they were there to consume it, so it would not cause trouble.
Can we all go back? I don't want them to meet you guys because I want them to hear. Okay, yeah, mute them and give them permission to. Thank you. I just gave you guys, so you guys turned this to a party seconds. Anyway, Abacha died first, but the thought process, I'm not going to say anything about this. What I'm going to do is place times and locations. So Abacha died first, I think about June 8th. I think Abiola died July 7th, that same year. At both times, the head of the African Bureau of the CIA, who later became a Secretary of Defense, was seen leaving Nigeria. Someone was in prison whose name I will not call. He's been known as the CIA stooge for quite a long time. And he got some political benefit for that happening. End of story. Next slide. Now this is food for thought. What you see here on this map is actually the spots of illegal mining in Nigeria. Do you know what this map can also pass for? Anybody, you could just write, what could this map also pass for? This map can also pass for where you have insecurity in Nigeria. Mining locations northeast, northwest, southwest. And that therein lies a very, very big problem. Remember when I mentioned France earlier? So I'll tell you something about the Chad. So Nigeria has full jurisdiction over the Chad Basin. That's the Lake Chad, which is in Borno State, but is bordered by 3 French colonies. If you're in northern Nigeria, every smoked fish you have eaten comes from that basin. Now, the women in the chat box, I'd ask you a question. Has the price of smoked fish astronomically risen, or it has remained quite stable just with Nigeria's austerities? I'd like to see your answers. It hasn't risen astronomically. Okay, I know why I asked you. It has risen, but it's not as astronomical as it's supposed to be. It's not as, even I know that. It hasn't, it's remained quite stable, and that's the truth. It's not as astronomical as it's supposed to be. But there's a war in Borno, right? I'll give you another small thought. And we're building a story here. The son of a former governor of Borno State is married to the vice president of Chad's daughter. 2. I'll open up another conversation. 3. How come there's more internet in Borno to upload what's being done? Than we have in Lagos or Abuja? You want to stop Boko Haram? Nigeria should cede Chad to France. It will stop. Collaboration between politically connected Nigerians and international corporations in illegal gold mining drives up rural banditry and violent local conflicts. Who remembered what was going on in Bakassi preceding Nigeria ceding Bakassi? Anyway, this includes the Northwest, North Central, to some extent in the Southwest region. I believe this is the last slide. And Lillian, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure taking this class. I tried not to unruffle any feathers. I look forward to your questions. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Edie. I don't know if you left me confused or gave me clearer picture, but I don't know what other participants will be thinking. I actually have a question, and it's kind of borders the last statement you made that concerning Nigeria ceding the Chad Basin to France. And I'm like, why should we cede the Chad Basin to France? I think you giving more perspective on that would be really appreciated.
I don't believe Nigeria. I don't believe Nigeria should cede it. But I'm saying if we cede it to France, then what is then the oil that is actually in the Lake Chad Basin and a few other elements that we're even thinking up to uranium exists there. The moment that has been taken out and ceded to France, trust me, France will ensure the security of that region immediately. Thank you.
Okay. Well, that means that the government needs to do much because we obviously want to benefit from those resources in the Chad Basin. And on the other hand, we don't want to do what is needed. Thank you so much, Edie. And the floor is open for questions.
Lillian, I think of it this way. It might not really be a Nigerian induced problem. Have you thought that maybe somebody is inducing it to ensure something is wrong? I'm not saying that. But anytime there's resources from diamonds of Sierra Leone, everywhere, there's always a war. Trust me on that. And the war is not about what exactly is going on or what is being covered about. It's so that some people can perpetrate some illegal things going on. You know how many foreign nationals are arrested in Nigeria for illegal mining? On things Nigeria has not even yet touched. Anyway, hope for another day. Let's go to the question part of the class.
Thank you so much, Edie. Ijoma, please ask your question.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you, Edie, for such an insightful class. It's really eye-opening. I looked forward to this class very much. After our conversation, I really wanted to hear and know how external factors affect our politics. And this has really been insightful. I've always been, I would say, very suspicious of politicians because I would say I've done some work with the media, and I always tell people, you need to be wary of just taking things at face value. There's usually like a puppet master at the back, just drawing the strings, and now you have exposed that, the puppet master. In fact, when you watch a lot of espionage movies, a lot of movies that deal with international politics, security, and all that, you find that there are actors in the background that push all of this insecurity and all of that. That being said, I keep wondering that, is it that our government is unaware, or they are a part of what is going on? Because if they are aware of what is going on, then they can, I don't know, through diplomacy or like a force or a show of force, or I don't know, a way to be able to overcome these challenges that the external influence, or are we so deep in, I would say, debt to China and dependence on America or UK or whatever? As in, is it that we're helpless to these situations? Because for you to know these things, that means, I'm not saying it's common knowledge, but at least certain people in power. I mean, we have our own intelligence, DSS and the rest. I don't know if we have a CIA level institution in Nigeria, but we would have our own intelligence. So are you telling me that our government is aware and they're just, you know, taking it as is? Or we should be able to, like I said, diplomacy or show of force and take over these challenges? This is my question.
Ijoma, I tried not to hit on very delicate matters when I was discussing this, and I'll still try to do that when I'm answering. So there are good and bad people on both sides. On all the sides, there are good and bad countries, just normal. I'm going to ask you something, and look at it this way. Let's say you borrowed 4 million naira, and the person you borrowed 4 million naira for, of course, is richer than you. And you had a birthday party, maybe somewhere along the line. And the person can come without an invite. So we first need to understand that Nigeria, I'm trying to use a code to answer this. We first need to understand that Nigeria is indebted to the big boys.
Okay.
And that debt so that they have a little control. So I'll give you an example. You arrest an American in Nigeria for illegal mining and you want to prosecute him. America says, we withdraw the money we give INEC for elections. And I think Nigeria, EU gives Nigeria almost up to 250. No, right up to 250. I think 200, or the last election was 200 or $220 million.
Wow.
That's the election alone. That is minus, got down a lot of interventions in health, in different parameters. When somebody is giving you money like that and you're on a WhatsApp group, can you tell the person, shut up, you're telling lies? That person that borrowed you 4 million, you're on a WhatsApp group. Can you tell the person, if the person writes a lie, you know it's a lie, you keep quiet and go.
You'll be very loyal.
Okay, then I think you have the answer to your question. If you look at it that way. If you look at it that way, you have the answer.
Wow.
Sorry.
Well,
Thank
it is well.
Thank
you.
Thank you, Edie, for that. Aisha John, please ask your question.
Okay. Good evening, Kunle. Thank you very much.
As I heard your name, I want to run.
Very, very interesting topic. Mine is not a question, just to add a little bit and to give a little context to what you said. I know you're trying to be diplomatic, so I just want to give a little bit context to this loan analogy. As you take these loans and as you get these grants, the organizations will tell you up and plain, or the countries, this is where our interest is, this is what we believe in, and these are rights that we want to see implemented in your country. And our people, their own is just to sign and collect. They did not really read some of these things. Let me give you a clear example. And this is actually a good thing because I support human rights, regardless of who you love or who you are. If you notice, even though Nigeria has an anti-gay policy law, which I do not support, you notice that there's a growth in the in activism and advocacy for gay rights in Nigeria, despite of the law. So if you marry, you marry some of the conditions of these loans, they come with the fact that this is our loan, but these are things that we support. And if you do not give it this, if you do not support this rights of human beings, be whoever they want to be, or at least look away from some of this and stop arbitrary arrest and prosecution, some of these loans will not go through. So yes, like Kunle said, I'm just giving you a very clear example so that you can associate with some of these things. That is what comes with some of taking some of these loans and taking some of these grants. So beggars have no choice. That's the situation that we are in now. So yes, some will say our interest is election reforms or elections, or this is how, or extractive industry. And once you sign and you collect these loans, that is how it goes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aisha. Let me add, since you spawned the conversation a little bit in that direction, let me add, like I said, I'm always diplomatically speaking. I'll use an analogy. Now, who know the old money, they kill goats for front of house? If you are owing money, you want people to know that you have a goat and you are eating goats in your house. You will not. And I'll tell you something. So the Electoral College, and I'll speak from the Electoral College point of view, the Electoral College exists without grants. We perform everything we do based on reach we have and friends that have seen the work we're doing and are part of it. And the board has been very, very instrumental. I'll tell you that we are on the eyes of almost every embassy in the country, that's external embassy. For the purpose of this class, I won't call any names. But in a meeting with some country reps, I won't use the word that you call them. This particular course I had put on the court schedule. We were asked to take it out. And I'm stubborn, you know me. And my argument was what I mentioned sometime, and I've said this speaking somewhere with the Deputy American Ambassador President. And I said, I find it funny when people like America and Britain talk about women participation in politics in Nigeria, because their own women were held down for 400, 500 years. We had women in politics. The constitution that they brought out, I think it was Richards of 1943, directly circumvented women participation, which we're still suffering till today. Then you're coming to help us. You caused the problem. And now you want to help us. Really, I don't understand it. And I said it clearly. And I said everything I'm saying can be quoted and pulled. You can look at the Richards Constitution. It can be quoted and pulled. And the Deputy US Ambassador was looking at me. That's why they don't invite me to some events. Me, I don't have chill. I'm sorry. Once I don't have chill. I'll say it like it is. That's not identity. And I think I kind of enjoy the fact that, and I hope that the goodwill of Nigerians continue to blow the Electoral College, and we'll still be able to do a lot. Because I understand the restrictions that come with grants. I really do. And if we want to educate Nigerians to a level which Nigerians are actually educated, then we would have to do it this way. Any other way, we're going to be telling you. And I'll tell you something the Electoral College too doesn't believe in. We don't believe in bringing the people that caused the problem to come and lecture you. Nah, it's something we wouldn't do. Because they're going to tell you about the silver lining and never what's behind it. Politics costs money everywhere in the world. International politics too costs money. So to deal, money is important. And this money is human resource or raw resources. And for this, every war has been fought in the world. Anyway, let's not talk too long. Let's move to the next question. Thank you very much. Aisha, thank you very much. And Ijoma, thank you for your contributions.
Thank you, Edie. Thank you so much. Rogers, can you let me unmute you so you can ask your question, please.
Okay, thank you, Edie. Listening to you is always a pleasure. Thank you. I think mine is just a quick one. Yes. He who pays the piper takes the tune. Yes, taking this grant and the standard politics. But my question is, how has India been able to gradually move away or even amidst the grants have been developing their democracy, developing their IT? India is one of the leading IT country in the world. Yet they were among the Commonwealth. They are still among the Commonwealth countries or colonized by UK, and most of Bill Gates grant and other UK grant, American grant also still go to India. Have countries like Brazil, Singapore, amidst all this grant and pressure, trying to detect the kind of democracy and who governs. And yet these countries have been emerging gradually, looking at their human index and their education and all the rest. So what can we learn from them amidst this whole grant and external political pressure, and yet they are developing in a gradual pace? Thank you, and over, Edie.
Rogers, I think there's a part of the story you are missing, which is also prevalent with all the countries you've mentioned. And I would add China into the matter. All these countries, as of 1970, Nigeria is far ahead of where they were in 1970. So I'd like to clear this point. For every country to grow, it first closed its economy. India chased all the British guys out. I think sometime in 1980. They chased everybody out. And then they started to grow themselves. It's when you have developed a product, you are now attractive. So you're not begging. These grants are now, okay, see, we're doing this is where we're headed. You want to join, partner with us? Those are the kind of grants they take. That's the kind of grant Singapore takes. That's the kind of grant Brazil takes. Nigeria is, man, I have nothing, I beg, how far, man? You know the way that your friend will just say, man, guess what? I asked my babe to marry me, man. How far, let's join WhatsApp group. Man, I don't get money, so all of them will bring 20K. You go now make 500, go pay for all. Then my uncles, their donation, and you don't get anything over you won't marry. You understand that concept? That's who we are. So till you put something on ground that strategically can show that your country can exist for the next 10, 20 years. What's the blueprint for Nigeria? We've spoken about Vision 2020. 2020 came and I was like, hey, sometime 2021, I don't remember. Wow, there's Vision 2020. And do you know how much was spent on that? And do you know how much was put in for that? But in the end, you get nothing for it. And you ask yourself the real question. So we're able to shut our economy and say, okay, look, what are we going to do? No more this, no more that. What are we going to do? Abia, what can you produce? Zamfara, what can you give us? This one, what can you? Then you start marketing and they see a projection. They now want to partner. It's now a grant that is based on partnership, not a grant that you are begging, you don't have anything. Well, of course, as of now, we're debt servicing more than our IGR. That is a very serious problem. So it's like your salary, you borrowed 100 million from the bank and your salary is 250K. Imagine what you'll be paying back every month. So you need to shut down your economy. That's the first thing you need to do. And then start to look inwards. Then when you start building, you will now say, okay, Nigeria wants to create Africa's brand phone. If Nigerians are all using the phone, then it means that close to 200 million people are using the phone. Nigeria's diaspora will pick it. This is what we want to do. This technology we put down. This is satellite we put down for it. Who is ready to partner? Vodafone. And that's when you start getting grants to assist you to move forward, like Rwanda is doing. So thank you very much, Rogers, for your question. I'll take the next question.
Thank you so much, Didi. Thank you so much. Latasha, please ask a question, then we can go to the questions in the chat box. Thank you.
Good evening, ED. Thank you for the class. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Rebel.
Okay. So my question is, it's not actually that it's a bit different from what Rogers just asked, but tweet kind of. A lot of other countries, let's use South Africa, for example. They were colonized by the Dutch. In fact, they had a different set of problems. But South Africa today, at least in terms of infrastructure, is amazing. But that's not even the question. Why is it that with all this intervention that we are getting, why can't it actually help the system work? All monies don't have to be bad. Why is it not helping us? Why do we still have such terrible diplomatic relations? Why is it that we still suffer in terms of immigration and things like that? Why has it not been able to be used to an advantage? A lot of Nigerians go to school in the UK. Why are they not able to get like special rebates or discounts or what have you? Why can't we not just take all of this and turn it to our advantage?
Thank you very much, Latasha, for that question. First and foremost, I'm going to tell you a sad story. The greatest money stolen in Nigeria is not from, okay, we'll say it's politics, but I think the second greatest money is stolen from grants. This is a truth we don't like to accept. Haven't you gone to buy a mosquito net in a pharmacy and you see not for sale United Nations given to Nigeria free of charge, but sold by the same United Nations in Nigeria to pharmacies? Or sorry, United Nations gives it to the Ministry of Health. So let's remove United Nations from the equation. So United gives it to Ministry of Health, and Ministry of Health, somebody in Ministry of Health sells these mosquito nets. The objective was that it should not be for sale. Hence, malaria still exists in Nigeria. I'll take you, while consulting, and I wasn't always in politics. So I used to handle logistics for the CDC in Washington, which meant I had an office in the US Embassy at the time, sometime between 2013 and 2015. And over that time, I handled massive logistics. I know everybody remembers how much AIDS used to have, that's HIV prevention and medicines used to have. But while working with CDC at the time, they were testing for, they said they were doing it, malaria tests all over, and they were pumping a lot of money into malaria, like they were pumping into AIDS. But actually what they were doing was finding out, Nigeria said 1 in 5 Nigerians had HIV, which was not true. And that hence the reason a lot of money was pumped. Then if you remember, NACA was holding more money, National Action for whatever AIDS. They were holding more money than the Ministry of Health. And my team apparently found out the real stats. And the money for HIV disappeared. When last did you see a HIV advert in Nigeria? So the corruption is understood by the world. So sometimes when they give, they know that you're actually not going to use it. Somebody's just going to get rich. The governor of Borno State chased some NGOs out of Borno State. Do you want to know why? You see, the NGOs were buying up GRA in Borno State, flashy jeeps, multiple up and down. They understand our corruption. And like Debbie has rightly put, and I just read just now, they use our corruption as a tool. They've understood it. Nigeria is a country that is supposed to sit down with the UK and say, come, you gain $6.5 million pounds, per year from Nigerians in school. 1, debate should be free, work should be provided for Nigerian students. You can only engage those kind of conversations when you're not stealing. But the Nigerian Minister of of Foreign Affairs might not want to see the British ambassador because they collected one grant which was supposed to be put into small and medium enterprises, which over 90% of the money was stolen before it even got to this. Then in the end, they'll be giving grants of 25K and forming NPower, and everybody will be shouting. Therein lies the problem. We can't make those negotiations, which goes back to what I said earlier. You can't make those negotiations if you haven't drawn a parameter to where you are going and where you want to be. So Nigeria as a country is in cruise control. So just imagine you put your car in cruise control. It's fine when the road is straight. And when there are curves, which is what you're saying, trying to deal with some matters, you'd have to hold the steering. Okay, except it's an S-Class, but you have to hold the steering. And so you get to this position where we totally do not even understand where exactly we're going to as a country. And they understand that we do not understand we're a country. I'll tell you something. Do you know the amount of gain that happens because Nigeria is the way it is? So now Nigeria is supposed to be one of the key leaders in OPEC. We used to be when we used to refine our oil. Now we just have gains from oil because we're not refining jack. Nigeria is supposed to have a world stage presence in OPEC, but we don't have it, thanks to our useless thought process. And the average Nigerian gets rich off this. We love them now. And I love the middle class. The middle class just kind of abstains themselves. No. But when one of these guys that have stolen this money appears in the room, we want to take selfies. We used to be 6, now we're 8. But that's producing. We're not even doing anything. So it's really funny. This is the only country where a tailor can have an oil well and be a billionaire, probably the richest black woman in the world. A hairdresser can become Speaker of House. And we all think this is a cruise, it's a joke, it's laughable. And okay, I'll ask you a question. So NDDC, the whole world saw it. It was COVID, so even my friends abroad saw it. And you had the NDDC issue, and you had the MD then fainting in a Senate this thing, and they were off your mic. And you know why they were saying off your mic? Because the guy that was heading the committee on the other side had taken, I think, 45 million to supply plastic chairs. Now the company ordering the chair, that's NDDC ordering the chairs, and the company that the project was given to have the same office in the NDDC office, which meant it was done from inside. But nobody cares about that. We think it's a cruise. We made memes out of it and we laughed about it. We're talking of 190 billion naira disappearing in 3 months, January to March, and this money is for a year to NDDC alone. And let me remind everyone, Nigeria has over 1,500 MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies, and that is just one. Imagine how many 190 billions across the road are missing. We're not ready to engage. Nigeria does not have a financial problem. We have a greed and selfish problem. That is our problem.
It is the second thing, though, very quick. You said that you don't invite people to lecture us who are part of the problem, but can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. I can hear you. You were going on.
I said you said you don't invite people who are part of the problem to lecture us. But we had somebody from APC yesterday. Just saying. Okay, bye.
You see, Latasha, when you grow out of emotion for politics, which was the first rule I taught you in politics, I said there's no emotion in politics. Your translation now is anybody in the APC is bad. That is wrong. That's totally, fully wrong. There are people in the APC and in the PDP who love this country. They stand for this country. A lot of them are even responsible for this thing happening here. And a lot of other people, like I said, no political party is bad. I've taught and drummed this. No political party is bad. Some players in the party are bad. It doesn't make the party bad. Yeah, APC might always get you emotional, but they're not being practical. There are people in the APC, and I'll mention a few, and I'll try to expose this clearly. That I think the head of the FCCPC, former Consumer Protection Council, which is Babatunde Irukera, has done a magnificent job. You should look at what he's done. All the protections from people with issues with flights, H-Medics selling hand sanitizers at gross prices during COVID. He's done so much work. There are lots of people within the APC doing a lot of good work. I'm telling you the truth. If this balance did not exist, this country would have broken a long time ago. Don't think everybody, and I tried to drum this, and I'm going to continue drumming it. 8 cohorts, since other cohorts got it before you guys, since you guys don't want to get it. But I need to drop this hardly into your head. Because someone is in APC does not make him bad. I could join APC tomorrow, and I'm not saying you, I'm not out, but I could join APC tomorrow. Will that make me bad? What if I join APC and I become the DG of National Orientation Agency and I'm able to expand what we've been doing with the Electoral College to something that is going down to every local government? Will you call me bad? You can't make such decisions. You can't say the PDP is bad. You can't say the APC is bad. Say some players within it have treated you wrong. That is fine. But to condemn a whole industry, I will never say Nigerians are bad. I'll say some of us are bad. The whole crew can never, ever be bad. So what you try to do within the system is make sure that there's an infiltration of a particular amount. And I'll tell you guys something that happened a long time ago. So sometime in 2013, 2014, I sat down with a few people, and the thought process then was to go through political parties and break into these parties. I won't mention their names, but there are people that are high up in every party or every situation as we know today. And we all sat down and said we wanted a good country. I know what I influence in the APC. I know what I influence in the PDP. I know what I influence. Our core purpose is Nigeria. And I know what I'm able to influence across those parties. The truth is, you cannot change anything if you don't have access or proximity to power. And that's the truth anywhere in the world. I can tell you that probably as much as people are shouting obedience, 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 I'm not saying this will happen, but Peter Obi can come in and be the worst president Nigeria has ever had. But then when that happens, you will need a few people within the system that still do good to be able to make things happen, regardless of who wins, whether it's Tinubu, it's Kwankwaso, it's Atiku Abubakar. You have to ensure, and this is what every smart country does. So whether a Donald Trump wins, which he won at a particular time, but because there were still good people within the Senate, within the institutions of the United States, they were able to protect the United States from Donald Trump and his melancholy of madness. And this has to happen. And you can't do this if you're not with party or you're not within the power circle. It's impossible. So you need to understand that these things that happen for a clear reason, and we must always engage and partner. And there is always good within the system. Thank you very much. And I'm sure there are people that are part of APC that will take that thing personal that you just said, Natasha. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Edie. And like as Faith said, maybe Latasha should join APC. Okay, Amanzi, please ask your question. Let me. Okay, so if Amanzi is delaying in asking his question, I saw some questions in the chat box. Somebody said, from Otnia, said, will it ever be possible that Nigeria, as Africa's largest democracy, have a free, fair, and peaceful election?
Lillian, I didn't quite get you, so maybe we could go over that again. I didn't hear you exactly very well.
Okay, Otnia said, he asked the question that will it ever be possible for Nigeria, Africa's largest democracy, ever have a free, fair, and peaceful election based on the external factors influence?
I'll tell you something about Nigeria. Till Nigerians take control of Nigeria, we understand the simple concept. We've left everything. So, some people have their polling units in let's say you live in Ikoyi, you have your polling units in Lekki 1. Some people have their polling units, they live in Abuja, they have their polling units in Gwarimpa, and they live in Life Camp. This is less than a 14-kilometer radius. There's a time I was in Dakar, Senegal, and I met someone whose family treks 60 kilometers to go and vote is there. They're not asking for polling units to come closer. It's a family thing. It's kind of like a joy. They prepare for it. They carry food, they carry lunch packs. You understand? They carry drinks. It's a trip. That's because they placed the civic duty and their love for country above self. Nigerians are not there yet. I can tell you that if they're registering for, if they bring registration centers for PVC to every street in Nigeria, people will still not register till it's one day to close. Nigerians have not, and I will say this anywhere, have not taken control of their country. They don't believe they have a country. I agree. Yeah, you have your own country now. You provide your own water, you provide your own light. I agree. But these things exist because you have refused to do some things. And if you continue, it will remain that way. The average Nigerian does not know the federal allocation to his local government or to local government he resides in. The average Nigerian is not bothered. Like I always say, even in this class, I'm sure if I did a random, and we've always done it. We've taught you guys 18 political parties, 18 political parties. We put it on an assignment and you guys were ticking 94. The highest objective ticked was 94. I think I'll share that result with the 8th cohort. So I know who clicked what. Let me PS, ED always knows those kind of things. I know who clicked what, but I won't do that. I would rather show you the percentage that picked that number. Upon we've told you guys 18. That means Nigeria isn't important for you. And you'll be like, how can I remember? I'm so busy. You're so busy. Okay, now. How is 650 naira to $1? How is fuel price? You're busy, Abby. I've always said this. If you do not engage politics, politics will engage you. So the way it is like a boxing match, because you put your hands down doesn't mean the other boxer won't punch you in the face. So it's time to lift up your hands and fight for this country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Edie, for that. The other question says, Edie, what will be the long-term and short-term solution for this? What should the top agenda of an incoming president in 2023 be?
Wait. What did you just say, Lilian?
So Ibe Kalu asked that, what will be the long-term and short-term solution for external factors influence in Nigeria's political affairs or elections, and what should be the top agenda of an incoming president in 2023?
Man, I love electoral college cohorts. If you're asking me questions, I'm running for president. Anyway, so first and foremost, I think the short-term plan. So first, we need to plan our direction as a country. That's the first thing. We need to understand that this democracy matters. It's the largest Black democracy matters, and the Black race, everybody's looking out to us to show them direction. We also need to understand clearly what we need to give, take, or lose. So we're not yet at that point. We need to really understand how we could grow to that point. We also need to understand that country should come first. While running for office in 2019, I proposed 49 bills, but one of the key bills I think I loved the most was state of residence, not state of origin. State of origin has virtually destroyed Nigeria. For Nigeria to ever go, we need to get out of that. And not my house with this now. From this, please, you push stop it for president. Okay, I'm too young to have an attack. It's not. How do they say? I don't know how to say it. It's not a Milo call. It hasn't called me yet. So you guys forget it. So I'm 43, so I'm not too young to run. There's nowhere near my parameters. So top agenda for the next president. I'm looking at security and economics being the agenda. I've not had anything concrete from any of the presidential candidates, which is why I personally have not said I'm behind any of the candidates. They're giving me a horse ride, good enough for media, bad enough for governance. I'm not yet impressed by any one of them, or any one of them has not moved me to the point that I would say this person. So I think security and economics, or the economy, are the major problems Nigeria has. For me, fix the economy, everything will stop. even insecurity. Every goddamn thing. Let me tell you something. If you have 20 million naira in your account, there's light in your house, there is water, you are fine, you're secure. Who would disturb you to go and fight in the name of religion or in the name of tribe or in the name of anything? You sit down in your house and be chilling. Everybody likes to chill, especially Nigerians. The Owambe culture spans west to the north to the east. Right? Party people. Nigerians don't like problems. Just settle a few things. Give them light. Stabilize the economy. Let's know bag of rice is 7K. Not stopping our life. You understand? It's there and we're fine with it. So the economics is actually very, very important. But you know, all we are hearing is a Milocon or somebody's unifying fire as if it's a nuclear equation. Another one is preaching carrying a bag of fruits. And the third one, we're just hearing, the fourth one, we're just hearing obedient to what now? Anyway, no offense, but that's how I see it. Thanks.
Thank you, Edie. I'll take this last question from Amanzi. From Rafiu. And it says, is it possible to basically join the bad guys for a bit to just gain entrance and proximity to power, then switch it up on them?
I'll tell you something. I like that. And I like that kind of thinking. One of my best quotes in the world is die and be a hero, or live long enough to see yourself become a villain. It's my best quote. So what happens is if you die quickly, most people are going to say, hey, this guy would have changed Nigeria, he would have done this, he would have done that, a few things he has done, they were so impressive. But if you live long enough, you're going to step on toes. And you're going to step on toes, you're going to cut things down. You're going to cut things down, you'll be seen as the devil. So yes, it is easy to break into the game and then switch on the game back on them. The problem that has happened with most people is that, man, first, so let me tell you a little bit about politics. So first, have you sat down in a private jet and been given a glass of Moët and Chandon at 40,000 feet? It tastes different. Have you had more slay queens in your DM than you ever could imagine? It tastes different. That's what people can't control. And that's what people can't. So most of them go into it and try to change things. But guess what? You never get to change anything. And therein lies the problem. So it's good if you can enter and keep yourself. But man, good luck at keeping at yourself, man. Money is good. I'll tell you that. So I have two raised hands. I'll just take these two last questions before I sign out.
Thank you, Edie. Ijoma, please ask your question.
Okay. I'm curious while listening to all the comments and all the questions, because I hear of external election, what they call them again, observers and all those things. So I'm curious as to if there are actually any positive influence that the external actors have on Nigeria, whether it's in politics or it's all agenda based, agenda. I'm just curious about that.
Let me ask you a question, Ijoma.
Yeah.
As you're an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
my sister, you're someone I respect. You run your own business, right? Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And then the funds that come in as profits, you direct how it goes, right? And whenever the funds go out, it is set out for something particular, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you just throw funds because you feel like a charity?
Sorry, do I?
They said, do you just throw funds because you feel like a charity? And I say hi to our junior electoral college attendee. Please remind me to get a certificate for to attach a certificate to for him. I said, do you throw funds because you feel like a charity? People do things to suit their own agenda. So yes, there are positive things, but they're only positive if it is in line with their agenda. Their agenda is never negative all the time. Nobody wants Nigeria to split up. We are going to have the most refugees in the world everywhere. And that's the honest truth. Nobody wants Nigeria to split up, but there's also Nigeria staying the way it is so that their businessmen still can make money. A few funny things. So you need to understand those parameters. Thank you. So
Thank you.
next
Thank you,
question.
Edie. Onya, please ask your question. Be brief about it too. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Edie, thank you for this wonderful session. I have two questions. Maybe I should start with the second one. It's in line with your what you just said now in response to the question that was asked. So looking at it, yes, whatever they are doing is for their own interest. Can we now say that the activities of these external actors, or can we see it as an opportunity or a threat to our own democracy in Nigeria? That's one. Then the second question is the one.
Wait, so that I'm following. Let me answer the questions as they are coming. Okay. So the first one is you said that. Wait, I think I missed it. Could you give me the last line again?
Okay, I say your response to the last question that was asked, you said whatever they are doing is for their own interest. Whatever influence they're having is to put first their own interest. So my question now is, can we see or can we say that all the influence they are having, can we see it as an opportunity or a threat to us as into our own democracy?
No nation in the world is regarded a nation till it controls fully its own affairs. Understand that, you understand everything.
Okay. Yes, sir. Now, the second one was, though I've asked it in the chat box, you responded to it, but I didn't get that well. Now, I'm looking at the obvious interest and influence of these external actors on the Nigerian election and politics. Now, do you think it's ever possible for us, Nigeria being the Africa's largest democracy, to have a free, fair, and peaceful election?
Nigeria can always have a free, fair, and peaceful election, but it's up to you. It's not up to anybody else. Is it American elections that people interfere in? It's always there now. You have to learn to manage it. So it's a Nigerian problem. It's not an external problem.
Okay. So is it now, if it's a Nigerian problem, can we now decide to stop these external actors? Because like for example, from some of the external actors you mentioned earlier, the International Monetary Fund, and there are a lot of actors there that whether we like it or not, the decisions they make, the policies they pass, have a way of influencing our politics. And some of these policies, some of these decisions, we can't run away from them. So is it possible with all this that we can ever have a free and fair election in this country?
It seems you don't want to pick what I'm saying, but it is possible, yes. And like I've stated earlier, it is up to us. So you are saying with all these things being around, have we been able to exactly, can we move away from it? You are owing them money now. You are taking money from them. You've taken money from them for the election. You've taken money from them for there's a lot of things now. You put yourself in the position. It's a no-brainer.
Thank you so much, Edie. Do we take Amazi?
You guys, I'm guessing out.
Amazi, please be very brief. Edie has spent a lot of time with us. And we've gotten so much value.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My question is that are there international conspiracies to the development of the Nigerian economy and the security of lives and properties in the country? And how do we make sense of a political world that is hidden, difficult to access, and too crucial to ignore? You know, how do scholars position themselves in this field where knowledge and power juxtapose or is intertwined or interwoven with ignorance and powerlessness? You know, they are in fact, they are so linked together that we don't know what to do. We are powerless and in some sort to a large extent. That's my question.
Amaze, who first told you that it's difficult to access? Have you tried to access?
Sir, the reason why I'm saying this is that all these.
Amaze, I asked you a question. Answer that question. I don't want to.
That if I've tried to
access it.
Access what?
Access the power or the politics.
Yes, now we have tried to get access to these information that are so relevant to nation building. We cannot get it, sir. Like all these issues about grants like the one you discovered that stopped the HIV. If you didn't work with that agency, how would you find out and how would they stop the promotion of HIV in Nigeria with the bloated figures that they are giving us? So people don't get all this information because they are not close to those agencies and access to those.
Amazo, let me ask you a question. Okay, how much does your local government get every month?
Local government. It was in this cohort, this class, I got to learn about the amount that costs.
Before then, calm down. Before the class,
yes.
See that the information was not available. It
was I didn't know.
Public.
I didn't know it was public.
If you didn't know, it doesn't exclude you from it. The information was publicly available. You are the one that didn't know where to look for, know to look for it. Which takes me exactly back to this kind of talk. Power is difficult to access. Of course. For somebody to sit down and have been in politics for 30 years and shouting Emilio Con, do you know what he has gone through? Coming to think of it. Do you think it is easy to access power? It's not easy now. So you have most of the young politicians and co. They just enter nation building for 15 minutes. You just, hey, it's hot. It's too much. They don't like me or women. They don't like men don't like us. Pachaka, and they run away. Who have you seen that is in power that does not get in 1 year? No, we need to ask ourselves this question. And we're not even thinking that way. We just want to get there and get to the end immediately. It doesn't work like that. No? It doesn't. It really doesn't work. You want to to become a doctor, people are ready to go from secondary school. You start thinking of it. So it means you're going to science class. That's top 3 years. Then you spend 7 years in university. That's 10 years. Then 1 year of housemanship. That's 11 years. That's how long it takes you to become a doctor. But you want to become a politician in 3 weeks. How now? I don't understand it when Nigerians start this kind of conversation. You don't know because you are politically illiterate. Sorry, but that's the truth. You want to know? Fine. Okay, I'll tell you a story. Lillian, I'm happy you're the one here. Lillian, when did I tell you in the electoral college that we're planning to take governance to churches and mosques? What year did I tell you that?
That was in 2020. Yeah,
what
2020.
What year did we achieve that?
Ending of 2021, towards November, December
yes.
period into 2022.
From ending of 2021 posting to 2022. How many years is that? About 1.5, am I right?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
And how did we not because we kept on at it?
Yes.
So imagine if we got turned down by the first church, which we did, and then I gave up and then walked away. What did you think would be next? Nothing will happen now. I spent 1.5 years with information I already have trying to present to a church. And I'm Christian, by the way. So just imagine how long that took me 1.5 years for the church to even want to listen to me. And Lillian is here, and she's the person I discussed it with, which is very great that she's the one here. So you cannot achieve anything by just standing up one day. Okay, I can tell you what's going to happen. If you associates are going to, you guys are going to become associates by the end of this month. A few of you carry what you've learned from class and want to participate. Some of you might even join the electoral college and then decide to want to help others know more. Then some of you will just forget what you learned here and go back to arguing APC and PDP. You can't blame Nigeria for that. I'm sorry. So let me take Debbie's question, and this is the last one. People should allow me. Today is Saturday, please. ED2 wants to party.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for such an enlightening class. So it's almost like a point of discussion, not a question, because I believe that history has a funny way of repeating itself. And because in politics and governance, everything almost is a construct. There's give and take, exchanges are going on. It's almost like a trading floor, if you want to see it that way. So since for instance, if you are in the healthcare sector or you're passionate about changing things in the healthcare sector, we need to cultivate a habit of going back to study things that have happened in time past. So if I'm going to, let's say, DFID, wanting funding for something, I should be able to put an exchange to the table and say, because you already have your own construct. So the point I'm trying to make is that we have to be critical thinkers to be able to get what we want, using them just as how they use us. You must be able to sort of plan yourself. That is, if you must get funding from these people, or we still want to lean on their help. But I am not a subscriber to that. I am a subscriber to the school of thought that we need to build our own solution-driven products. We have to build from the inside. Will that take a longer while? Yes, it would. But if we must ask for help, or we must engage external factors, then we must be clear that there will be a price. We then decide what the price would be, so that in the place of exchange, we create almost like a spoof in the system and get what we want at minimal, or just count our battles and know which one will be our war. I can lose this, but this is what I'm looking at in the long run. Thank you.
Debbie, you deserve a medal, and there's nothing to add to everything you said. I think it's exceptionally brilliant, and that's how it should be seen. So thank you very much, Debbie, for that. Lillian, I'll pass the class back to you. And
thank you. Thank you so much, Edie. As usual, every session with you is always an interactive, engaging one, and a lot to take back home, especially in this session. Got me thinking, going back to my books again. So there's always something to take out from the session, and you always reemphasize the point that we as citizens, we have key roles to play in the Nigeria we want to see of today, tomorrow, and the future. And I hope we don't use this, what we've learned today, to eat whatever we're going to have for dinner. Then reflect on it. Thank you so much. Please, let's kindly unmute ourselves to appreciate Edie, or you use the emojis in the chat box. I'll mute you so you can say thank you to Edie. You spent quite a lot of time with us here.
thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure having a conversation with the 8th cohort as usual. So thanks, everyone. Faith, Debbie, Ijoma, Latasha, Maze, Inse, Otena, everyone, with you, Olawale, everyone. Thank you very much. To your class tomorrow. Have a lovely day, everyone. And we have to start petting you guys now, because some of you come associates. So thank you on behalf of the Electoral College for taking your time. Thank you, Lillian, for always putting in a lot of things. Unenu, I always see you on the class, but I never get to. Thank you very much, everyone. Do have a lovely evening, and you should look forward to your class tomorrow. Your class tomorrow will be held by a legislator from Gambia. So I look forward to quite an interesting class. So thank you, everyone. Love from college. Good night.
Thank you, Edie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you, sir.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Edie.
you,
A wonderful,
Edie.
insightful
Learned a
class.
lot.
What
We
is the
appreciate
graduation
you.
plan? Thank you. What's the graduation plan? I want a Zoom party.
Thanks, Edie.
Don't do
Thank you,
that.
Edie. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Saidi.
Thank you, Edie.